Plane crashes and bollards. It's not actually a fun topic to talk about, but I think it's very interesting when you think about principles of design. Recently, there has been a lot of news that has been bad. So, for aviation fanatics, there was the plane crash in Muon, South Korea. So, Jeju Air, which never had a significant event before, crashed a plane and almost everybody died except for two flight attendants sitting in tail. So there's a lot of different factors they're investigating, but one thing that's interesting is there's a concrete wall at the end. The plane crashed into it because it had no landing gear and it was on its belly and wasn't stopping and burst into flames. That wasn't helpful. Would it have made a difference? Nobody really knows if it weren't there. But the response of the Korean official was very telling. They said it's according to regulation. It's a berry, I guess, designed to protect a navigation antenna, and it's common to have those. But let's see, it hurt the plane. Why would it make sense to have a concrete barrier? Did nobody ever think a plane could overrun the runway? I mean, these are all very, very interesting questions. And for me, the very interesting thing is it's according to regulation. Is that supposed to be a defense? Is that supposed to be significant? Because it doesn't really matter that you have the worst crash in your country's history. And there's something there that definitely didn't help. And that brings us to bollards. There are these barriers designed to stop cars because apparently nowadays people like to drive into other people and kill them. You don't even need a gun anymore, right? Almost everybody has access to a vehicle. And so they're reviewing the New Orleans crash and saying that the city's new barriers wouldn't have stopped this vehicle. And the guy found a way around the cop car parked in front of the street by just going on a sidewalk, which was wide enough. And it's very interesting because if you think about it, right, what do you do now? So people are questioning the city and their decisions, and it's definitely a case of, I would say, engineering where you can't be perfect. You got to make trade-offs. But what now? Do you redesign it? It's been sort of contracted for. Installation is supposed to come up pretty quickly, and now is it not good enough? I think this is one thing that's very interesting about government. This is something I don't really have any influence in, say, and experience in. But I find this idea, at least as an engineer, to say per regulation to be sort of meaningless. If something went wrong, I could care less what the regulations are, actually, as a doctor as well. If the patient didn't do well, is it very comforting to say, well, we did it per the protocol? I mean, the protocol doesn't cover everybody. In engineering, you realize that. You're not covering all scenarios. And I would say if I were a government official in charge of aviation safety, and if I just had the deadliest crash in my country's history, I could care less what the protocol is. We're going to look into changing these things to be helpful for the future. It's very interesting on a side note to think about this idea of changing things because Japan, I was told, is very good at changing things, rather at taking away things. So they didn't have probably a lot of trash cans before, but they have basically no public trash cans now. Tricks, bathrooms, that trick doesn't work. There's like no trash cans in public bathrooms. You maybe find them in handicap bathrooms, just FYI. Where can you find public trash cans? Well, convenience stores often have trash cans. Probably not outside, but inside. Is it polite to use them? Well, maybe is it as polite as using the bathroom without paying for anything? I don't know. But someone told me that the reason they'll have these trash cans is because the sarin gas incident where terrorists, I guess a member of a cult, killed lots of people, was by placing all these canisters in trash cans because nobody looks for them in there. So they got rid of all of them so that wouldn't happen again. It's very interesting how you do it, right? I mean, my main response was cutting off your nose to spite your face. But they probably have a different way of thinking about safety there. It's much more safety focused. I mean, you think about New York City, you read all the incidents of people getting killed in the subway, and you think about countries like Japan where they're working on installing more safety barriers for trains so people can't commit suicide jumping in front of trains. You're like, oh, very different perspectives. In New York, we're talking about people being murdered. Japan, talking about people preventing them from committing suicide. Anyways, the idea is, at least for me, is when something goes wrong, you find something to work on and improve it for the future. And if you know that these concrete barriers are a risk for planes, then get rid of them. Find some way around it. It doesn't matter that they're fine, they're per regulation, because the regulation needs to be changed. It's as simple as that.